Things are so expensive right now, but people think to themselves, I just don't like what I'm seeing in the newspaper or what I'm reading online. I don't like what's going on in Washington. I don't like what's going on overseas. I don't like what's happening inside my own family. Like, there's all these headwinds, and you wait for a better quote unquote time to spend the money or to start on that project or take the trip. But something I've noticed of late, Jess, is that the universe is relentless. There's always something negative happening in the news. There's always a new election or some sort of crazy geopolitical event. And so if we're waiting for there to be clear skies so that we then have permission to spend the money, what generally ends up happening is just years tick by. And here's a really distinct issue with it. In retirement, how many really good years do you have? Welcome to another episode of Saturday State of Mind. I'm joined here by my fearless co-host, Jessica Panico.
Fearless.
And a stuffed goat.
Yeah, why not?
We're talking today about the psychology of spending money in retirement.
Oh, I feel like someone needs to be laying down on a couch for this.
Why is that?
Because it's about psychology. You're talking about like therapy, right?
You have a lot of experience with psychology. I mean, you are married to me.
That is true. I also got my undergraduate degree in health psychology, Michael, which has nothing to do with what we're about to start talking about.
Or does it have everything to do with it?
Well, you know, health psychology is really about the mind-body connection.
Yeah.
Mind, body, wallet, maybe. So,
sure.
What's on the docket?
Well, when you approach retirement, oftentimes people have all sorts of hopes and dreams. People call it the bucket list. You know, you've been working for a really long time. You've been sacrificing. For a lot of people, they've been giving excess money to the kids, getting them through college, paying off a mortgage. And now finally, there's like all this runway in front of you. And you can kind of dictate where your spare dollars go. And maybe there's trips that you want to take. Oftentimes there's home improvements that need doing. Maybe it's a new car, whatever that it is. People want to go to spend money, but they often feel really challenged in cutting the check, swiping the card, handing over the cash. It tends to be a really big roadblock, which we're hoping we can help people overcome to some extent.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I understand it. I get it. You've been working your entire life and you've been in the accumulation phase, right? You've been earning all this money, and then one day, when you stop working, the paycheck isn't coming in from your employer anymore, and you have just this maybe finite amount of money to spend, it can be hard for some people.
Right. What you're kind of alluding to there is that the behaviors that helped you accumulate wealth in the first place are now the same types of behaviors or psychological quirks that can make it really difficult to spend money. So how do you accumulate dough outside of inheritance or winning the lottery? You do it through spending less than you make, understanding the value of a dollar, being okay with sacrifice and thrift, and on the other side of putting aside a little bit each and every single week or month or whatever, a little bit of money turns into a lot of it.
Right.
But you accumulated it through really sound, disciplined financial behaviors.
Right. We say, you know, if you want more money, you got to either make more, spend less, right, to have more. Well, I can't make more now. I'm in retirement, you know, and that doesn't mean all income streams stop. You know, there's Social Security, maybe pensions, maybe some income producing assets you have. There's all sorts of ways maybe you are getting money in retirement, but not like when you were getting that paycheck from your employer. And you don't want to go back to work. You're in retirement, right? So then it's about spending and what is too much and what's not enough.
Well, you said something that's key there too. With a paycheck, it's kind of easy to spend money because there's always another paycheck coming in 2 weeks.
Sure.
Once you're retired, there is a paycheck for most people, Social Security, but that covers about a third of your working income. Most people do not have pensions, but even if you do have one, it's still probably not covering the entirety of what you were used to getting before vis-a-vis the paycheck. So now what's happening to maintain the same lifestyle is you're taking withdrawals against something that just looks distinctly finite, right? Your nest egg, your cookie jar, whatever you want to call it, you add up all the money that's in the bank, your 401ks, your IRAs, wherever you get the money hidden. Every time you dip into that jar, it feels like some kind of irrevocable loss. And you start to think to yourself, anything that I spend now is something I might need later. So you know what? Maybe I should just leave it in there and not touch it.
Right. But then this is all about living every day like it's Saturday. Is it really Saturday when you're saying, oh man, the car is like on its last legs now. And I really like to go out and finally get that, pickup truck I've been talking about for a while, but nothing flashy, just, kind of a baseline model. But I just can't wrap my head around spending $40,000 right now to buy a car.
And it's not just the expense of it all. Things are so expensive right now.
Right.
But people think to themselves, I just don't like what I'm seeing in the newspaper or what I'm reading online. I don't like what's going on in Washington. I don't like what's going on overseas. I don't like what's happening inside my own family. Like there's all these headwinds, and you wait for a better quote unquote time to spend the money or to start on that project or take the trip. But something I've noticed of late, Jess, is that the universe is relentless. There's always something negative happening in the news. There's always a new election or some sort of crazy geopolitical event. Maybe there's a new version of COVID sweeping around. And so if we're waiting for there to be clear skies so that we then have permission to spend the money, what generally ends up happening is just years tick by. And here's a really distinct issue with it. In retirement, how many really good years do you have?
Dude, even before retirement, tomorrow is not promised. And listen, I'm not telling you go out and spend your last dime today, especially if you're in your, 30s or 40s either, but you don't know what's going to happen. Right. You're like one health diagnosis or doctor's visit away from like, well, I really wish I spent that money during my go-go years when I could get out there, take the family with me, have those shared experiences.
Yeah, your 60s are definitely a lot different than your 70s, certainly so much different than your 80s or your 90s. And I think we've talked about this before, but they interview people in their 80s and their 90s and say, hey, listen, you've gone through the majority of retirement here. You get to now look back on all the things that you did well and maybe things that you would do differently if you could start all over again. What advice would you impart on, say, 60-year-olds just beginning their journey? And they've echoed the same sentiment now for decades. And it's, I wish I spent more money.
Right.
So how do we bridge this gap where people are telling us we should enjoy what we put aside for all those years when it's our opportunity to do it, but it just feels so at least awful, or perhaps just, we're reluctant to touch that dough? How do we overcome this?
Well, I think what we've heard before is that people get, and really this is a self-serving comment, but people get a lot of confidence in working with a financial professional, right?
Yeah.
I think they feel a little bit more confident. And it's not just me checking my math, but it's actually someone that's meant to do this telling me I have permission to spend. And that really centers around a lot of conversations we have with our clients too.
Yeah, it's almost like you have to present it as a challenge of sorts and remind people why we're doing this. A really key thing that we've found is that happiness isn't exactly linked to stuff, how big your house is or how fancy your car might be. Anytime you talk to anybody who's towards end of life, the stuff that matters most to them is family and experiences, memories. That's what really counts. So yes, in the early stages of retirement, we tend to do a little bit of nesting. We get those windows replaced. We get the siding done if it's been a little bit like rusty or falling apart or whatever, right? But we think about, what should we do with the money now? We don't want to just leave it behind to people 30 years from now when, by the way, your children are probably going to be in their 60s themselves. They'd probably need some of that money now if you want to help out, or certainly they probably want to spend time with you.
Right.
So are there things that we can do together, whether it's a weekend trip or just something together as a family that you can use your money for to support that? But I want to connect back to what you just said. I think people are reluctant because they just worry a lot. Sure. What if taxes go up? What if inflation stays high? What if I have a health event? One of the values in working with a financial planner is that we can model all of those events. We can actually model them happening all at the same time or all along the course of your journey. And what we're looking for is those trajectories where even if some of the worst headwinds blow against you, it's still okay to spend money because either your budget is humble enough or your nest egg is large enough, hopefully both. And if that's the case and we say, hey, listen, even if taxes go up, even if your expenses go up, right? Even if the market tumbles once or twice along the journey or whatever, you're still going to be okay. And we don't just talk about that once. We have to talk about it twice, 3 times, 10 times till it really sinks in. And that's where I feel like people really start to feel like they have permission to spend their money. So we don't just do this all with, roses and good wishes and rainbows, right?
No.
When you say, hey, it's going to be fine, just go ahead and spend it. We're testing your stuff under scrutiny, under duress, putting the screws to it. And if you can see that your numbers are resilient, it makes it so much easier to just go ahead and write that check, swipe that card.
That's what I find, so wonderful about our process here is when someone's new to the firm, obviously there's a lot of planning that goes into place. But then when we meet with our clients every year, year after year, we do quick housekeeping, check in. Are you still on track? How the numbers looking? Looks great. The majority of the time we spend with our clients, it's talking about life. It's talking about what are you doing? Did you take that trip? Did you have that experience with your grandkids? What is important to you and kind of holding you accountable to that? We know the money is locked down. We know your plan is solid here. So are you living like every day is Saturday?
Yeah, it's not how much money you have, but what you do with that money that really matters.
Well, if you like this video, like and subscribe for more and click the links below. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
If you liked this video and it helped you, watch another one. And don't forget to hit subscribe.